again telling you, those people who were not present yesterday, this is SOM class, that is School Organization and Management class, and I am going to deal with Unit 4 and Unit 5. So Unit 4, yesterday we had a little bit of introduction. What is universalization of elementary education? Is it necessary for universalizing the, secondary education? That is not elementary education, secondary education. So what is the age group which comes under secondary education is the schooling, that is from 8th, 9th and 10th. Now coming to the first one, that is constitutional provision. What the constitution says about the education system. Are there any, for example, are there any fundamental rights? Are there any directive principles which are meant only for the education field and especially of the secondary education? So I already told you, secondary education acts as a link between the elementary and higher education. Why it acts as a link? Because as soon as a child finishes his 8th or 9th or 10th standard, he will have a clear picture of what he wanted to aim for his future. Because at the age of when he is in the class of 5th or 4th, he doesn't have a clear picture of what he wants to become when he becomes elder. So when he comes to 8th, 9th and 10th standard, he'll have a maturity level where he can know, or where he'll have that quality of selecting what he wants to be. That is, whether he want to go for MPC, whether he want to go for BPC, whether he's interested in CC, MEC or whatsoever it may be. So it acts as a link between these elementary as well as the higher education. So let us speak about what is the constitutional provision. So there are about 12 or 13 constitutional provisions which only gives or which only speaks on secondary education. The first and the foremost one, to know you better, constitutional was made. For example, it came into effect from 26th Jan 1950. As you all know, that is called as the Republic Day. We celebrate because that was the day when the constitution came into existence. So a new constitution for independent India became effect from 26th Jan 1950. So what is this? The first provision which constitution has given is free and compulsory education. Now coming to free and compulsory education. So Article 45 of amendment, that is of Indian Constitution, states that every child, irrespective of anything, that is the state shall endeavor to provide within a period of 10 years from the commencement of this constitution for free and compulsory education of all the children until they complete the age of 14 years. Amma, I'm going to use a bilingual class if you all don't mind, because there are some Telugu students. I don't want to take a separate class for them. Amma, Rajangamu మరి చదువుల పట్ల. సో ఫస్ట్ మనం ఈ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ లో ఏం మాట్లాడుతుందంటే ఉచిత విద్య, ఫ్రీ అండ్ కంపల్సరీ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ గురించి మనం మాట్లాడుతున్నాం. దిస్ ఇస్ ద ఫస్ట్ పాయింట్ ఇన్ ద కాన్స్టిట్యూషనల్ ప్రొవిజన్ ఆన్ సెకండరీ ఎడ్యుకేషన్. ఫ్రీ అండ్ కంపల్సరీ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ గురించి మనం మాట్లాడుతున్నాం. ఆర్టికల్ 45 లో, ఇండియన్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ లో ఆర్టికల్ 45 లో మెన్షన్ చేసింది, ఏమని మెన్షన్ చేసింది? ఖచ్చితంగా ఉచిత విద్య, 14 సంవత్సరాల లోపు గల పిల్లలకు ఉచిత విద్య కాకుండా కంపల్సరీ విద్య స్టేట్ గవర్నమెంట్ విత్ ద హెల్ప్ ఆఫ్ ది సెంట్రల్ గవర్నమెంట్ ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేయాలి అనేది ఫస్ట్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషనల్ ప్రొవిజన్. I want to ask you all one doubt. Is Article 45 a fundamental right or a directive principle? I know your people are hearing. I want some answers. Is Article 45, we are speaking about Article 45, which says free and compulsory education to all the children below the age group of 14 years, that is 6 to 14 years, is a minimum education qualification should be given to everybody, free and compulsory. So Article 45, I don't want anybody to Google it and tell me now, but do you know that Article 45 is a fundamental right or a directive principle?
It is a directive principle.
It's a directive principle. Can anybody tell me what is the difference between a directive principle and a fundamental right?
Non-directive principles are the guidelines, and right is like it should be the citizens are required to abide by.
Amma, Article 45 అనేది డైరెక్టివ్ ప్రిన్సిపల్ fundamental right?
Directive principle, ma'am.
Directive principle. Okay, people who are answering, it's okay. Those who are silent, I'm asking them. So, ఇది ఒక directive principle. Directive principle అంటే ఏంటి? Can anybody tell me what is a directive principle?
It guides the people, ma'am. It gives them obligations where they need to go. Like it directing the people that they have to follow the rules so that they can have a good life.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, Ramani. It is nothing but directive principle is nothing but it ensures that the state shall structure to promote the welfare of the people by securing a social order in which socio-economic and political justice is aimed. It's nothing but the state will see to it that it has been given. For example, it tried to do and it tried to achieve it by the end of the day. So that is called as a directive principle. Mari, education, when we speak about directive principle, we don't think so. Is there any fundamental right regarding education? It is there. For example, Article 21A, it is not given in your textbook, ma. Article 21A states that it is a guaranteed fundamental right which states that children should be given free and compulsory education. Children, that is, if it is a guarantee right that what the Article 21A says that the state shall provide free and compulsory education. So if this is fundamental right, so 21A is a fundamental right and Article 45 is a directive principle. So there are two options. There are two provisions given by the state government or the central stating that free and compulsory education should be given. So 21A of Indian Constitution, that is, it is a fundamental right, and Article 45, which is a directive principle, both of them says that free and compulsory education should be given to all the children and also to look into their welfare also. Early childhood education and also their welfare, their health and wealth are also to be seen under these articles. So I think so I'm clear. We are speaking about the constitutional provisions given for the secondary education. So the first constitution provision given is free and compulsory education in the Article 45 of Indian Constitution, that is, it is a directive principle, and 21A, which is a fundamental right, which clearly states that if there is no free and compulsory education given under the Article 21A, they can sue the people to the court. As you all know, if it is a fundamental right, we can go directly to the court stating that yes, my child or yes, my people are not given free and compulsory education. So on basing Article 21A, which is a fundamental right, you can move to the court, but not on directive principle. So that is called as free and compulsory education. Okay, now government has given some amendments, government has given some recommendations, government has given some, that is Article 21A and Article 45. There is another article also which is called as Article 51AK, which clearly says that it is the duty of a parent or a guardian of a child to provide opportunity to education. అంటే అమ్మా అక్కడ గవర్నమెంటే కాదు, ఈవెన్ పేరెంట్స్ కి గార్డియన్స్ కి కూడా కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ ప్రొవిజన్ ఇచ్చింది. ఏంటంటే ఖచ్చితంగా మీ పిల్లలకు చదువు చెప్పకపోయినా పిల్లలు చదువుకునే బాధ్యత తల్లిదండ్రులకు గార్డియన్స్ గా కూడా ఉంది. సో ఫ్రీ అండ్ కంపల్సరీ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఈస్ గివెన్ టు ఎవ్రీబడి. ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ ఓన్లీ మెంట్ ఫర్ ద స్కూలింగ్, ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ ఓన్లీ మెంట్ ఫర్ ది గవర్నమెంట్, ఇట్ ఈస్ ఆల్సో ద డ్యూటీ ఆఫ్ అ పేరెంట్ టు అవైల్ దిస్. So the first one we spoke about free and compulsory education, which is mentioned in Article 45 and also Article 21A, which is a fundamental right, and also Article 51A K of Indian Constitution, which clearly states that the duty of a parents and guardian of a child to provide opportunity to the children or provide opportunity for education to the children. Is it clear, ma? The first one what we spoke is free and compulsory education, which is called as Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan program. But But one thing is lagging is, it was started in the year 1950, but after the 50 years of also, this has not been properly used by the people as well as the government as well as the school, because still we are being below poverty level. That is, education literacy rate is a bit down when compared to the other states, when compared to the other people. So it is a prime duty of the parent, prime duty of the guardian, prime duty of the school, prime duty of the persons who are involved in that, so that the children or the students who doesn't know anything about this to be educated. So the first provision is free and compulsory education to the children age group of between 6 to 14 years. Now coming to the next one is the for example, education of minorities. Now the first provision is free and compulsory education. The second constitutional provision we are speaking is education to minorities. You know who are minorities? So Article 30 of the Indian Constitution states that all the minorities, whether based on a religion or language, shall have the right to study. They shall have the right to establish their own life, that they have the right to education. So this is called as education of minorities. This is the second, we're speaking about the second constitutional provision. Now coming to the third constitutional provision is education for weaker section. Now coming to the education for weaker section, we all would be knowing that weaker section comes under SCs and STs. Weaker section ante SCs and STs, that is scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. So we are not aware of some schools where giving a special, for example, this is special category for these kind of people. For example, recently I have gone through some what we say is article where I heard and I read saying that Hyderabad Public School is giving special reservations for SC and SC students to study in their school. Most of us are not aware of that. Even I was shocked to see that. Even the SCs and STs students, that is the weaker section children, are allowed to study in Hyderabad Public School, that is HPS. But still, these children are not aware of what provisions the government has been given. So the third provision we are speaking is the constitutional provision is education for weaker section. So Article 15, 17 and 46 clearly says the safeguarding of the educational interest of the weaker sections of the Indian community. So we are speaking about the third provision given by the Constitution states that Article 15, 17 and 46, that is safeguarding the educational interest of the weaker section of the Indian community. Amma, manamu ee roju manam maatladutundi constitutional provision ante rajyanga paranga elanti secondary education ki elanti provisions anedi government ichindani moodu maatladukunnam. Modati uchita vidya gurinchi maatladukunnam. Rendodi education of minorities ante ఈ ఎస్సీ ఎస్టీల విద్య గురించి మరి గవర్నమెంట్ ఎలాంటి ప్రొవిజన్స్ ఇచ్చింది, అది ఆర్టికల్లో ఉందా లేదా అనే దాని గురించి మాట్లాడుకున్నాం. మూడవది ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఫర్ వీకర్ సెక్షన్. వీకర్ సెక్షన్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ అంటే బలహీన వర్గాలు, షెడ్యూల్ కులాలు, షెడ్యూల్ జాతుల విద్య గురించి మనం మాట్లాడుకున్నాం. అంటే ఆర్టికల్ 15, దట్ ఇస్ ఆర్టికల్ 15, ఆర్టికల్ 17 and article 46 clearly states about the safeguarding the educational interest of the weaker section. అందుకే they have been given much reservations when compared. So can anybody tell me what would be the reasons? Can anybody tell me what would be the reason for the SCs and STs being called as a weaker section? Because why so much limelight is not shown on them? For example, there are many institutions. For example, there are some SC schools and colleges. Still, children are not coming to. They are not willing to come outside of their society or of the places they stay, and they don't want to come and stay in SC and ST schools or hostels which are meant for them, because there is no lack of interaction. There are no people who are educating them. There are less people who are educating these kind of weaker sections, they're telling, they're not educating them by what we say is they're not introducing them to these kind of hostels or schools which are there, which are only meant for these kind of people. So Article 15, 17 and 46 clearly states that it is the duty, it's safeguarding, it is the duty of the state government to safeguard the educational interest of the weaker section. Not only that, the federal government is responsible for the economic and educational development of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Now coming to the fourth one, which is called the fourth provision, which is called as the constitutional provisions for constitutional provision on secondary education. The fourth one is women education. Now, women education plays a vital role in Indian society. How can you say that women says, for example, when we have the female literacy rate in Asia, that is, during 1991, there were about only 40%, that is less than 40% of women being educated in the countries. For example, during 1991, there are about 330 million women were there in ancient countries. That is 330 million women were there, they were present. That is due when there was a survey, they have seen that 330 million women were there, out of which only 200 million were being educated. This was done during the survey in 1991. So why women has been not exposed to education as much? Because when we see the literacy rate, okay, let us speak about 2006 survey, which was done by Annual State of Education Report, that is ASER. Again coming, we are speaking about the constitutional provisions of secondary education. First one, we spoke about free and compulsory education. Next one is the education of minorities. Next one is the education of weaker section. And fourth one is about the women education. So article clearly states that, for example, in this, it clearly states that women education plays a vital role. For example, I already told you, in 2006, when there was a survey that which was called as Annual State of Education Report, ASER. According to this survey, in 2006, there were about 10.3% of children who are dropouts from the school soon after they finish their 5th standards. And during 2018, there were about 4.1% of dropouts. That is, it has been declining, and then a significant decline has been shown, seeing that yes, there is a literacy rate going up, that is, it is coming up to a level where the women have been educated. The women education is playing a very important and a vital role in the society. So Constitution itself says that women has to be educated. Then what is the reason why the children are getting dropouts, why the children are dropping themselves after 10th class? That is from 15 to 16 years of age, when we see when they want to go for college or for college, many of the children are not going because proper sanitization facilities are not given in the college. Not only that, and also there are no boundary walls for few schools, due to which there are major dropouts after the age of 14 years. And also few state governments are not giving free education in their intermediates. So this would be the reason for the battle of women education. But government is facilitating, but in Constitution it is provided free and compulsory education for also women. So when we speak about all these provisions, we feel that there are many ample of constitutional amendments, constitutional articles recommended for the education of the society, but people are not aware of that. So why is it necessary as a teacher that you should know all these things? Because if by God's grace you go into a you get a government job, or you go into some schools for teaching, then you will have that there are provisions provided for the weaker sections like this, for SC/STs, for women, and also for minorities, and also for children who belong to the weaker section, below poverty level. You can educate them, you can tell them, you can speak to them. Yes, the government is facilitating so many provisions so that everybody in the society has to be educated. So when we see the Sensex, there is about a drastical increase in the literacy rate of a woman when compared to 2001. Because 2001, when we see there were about less than 40% of women has been educated. But when you see Sensex of 2018, it was more than people. That is 60% of women have been educated. So there, in one of the Sensex, in one of the documentary, when I've seen that, I've seen by 2025, if all the women in the society are going to be educated, for example, one of the survey reported say that in 2025, we encourage all girls to study and participate in the workspace. We can see that there is $770 million GDP to increase. So if by 2025, if all the women in the society be educated, be known that there is a constitution provision for all women education also, then the GDP rate of a state, the GDP rate, that is gross domestic product rate, will increase by 2025. It is clearly said that when a woman in a family is educated, the whole family is educated. So that is the one of the constitutional provision given by the government. Now next one is language safeguarding. Now what is language safeguarding is nothing but, according to Article 29(1), clearly states that if any citizen or any section of the citizen residing in the place or India have a distinct language, they can protect their language. So it clearly states that you have to safeguard the language. So Article 350B of the Indian Constitution and Article 29(1) clearly states that to safeguard the language. That is, there are some people, there are some tribes, there are some people who does not belong to our area and they have a different language. For example, Mizoram people, many of the other states people come here and study. So they have to safeguard their language. We cannot say that they have the right to speak in the language, they have that right. So language safeguarding is one of the constitutional provision which clearly states that any section of the citizen residing in the territory of India or any part thereof having a distinct language, scripture or culture of its own have the right to conserve the same. They have the right to conserve their language. They have the right to conserve their scriptures. So that is what this article clearly states. Now coming to the next one is the secular education. For example, in schools we don't have that secular education. There are special schools which give secular education. For example, Muslims have a different kind of schools where only their secular subject, that is, secular is nothing but not religious subjects. The religious subjects are taught. There are Hindus, there are different schools meant for their purohits or something like that. And then Christians, they have different schools which are related to religion. So there is a section, there is a provision according to Article 25(1), Article 28(1), Article 28(2) and Article 28(3) clearly states that as India is a secular country, it is a nation where spirituality based on religion had always been a big esteem. So under this constitutional amendment, that is under this constitution amendment religion, they say that secular, for example, secular education has also been entertained. But in a normal school, they are not supposed to teach all those things. That is, for example, in a normal government school or a private school, such kind of things are not entertained. But there are separate schools for secular education. You all would be knowing. If you have any, for example, there is a separate religion. They have separate religion or separate provision given to them for secular educations, that is, which are related to religion. So these kind of secular education cannot be taught in a normal schools, and in normal schools these kind of secular education is not entertained, but they have a right to put a secular schools and run according to the Indian Constitution. Now coming to the next one is instruction in mother tongue. The main basic aim, when we go in further, when we speak about some commissions, I'll let you know when this mother tongue thing has come, because when children are joined into schools, they are not used to the language which we usually speak in the classroom. For example, that is instruction in mother tongue. According to Article 26(1) and Article 350, it clearly states that instruction should be given in mother tongue also, because few of them are not aware of the language which is there. So that is what it clearly says is they can have an instruction, that is they have that right to listen to their mother tongue, because many of the children doesn't know to speak English, many of the children doesn't know to speak in Telugu, many of the students doesn't know to speak in other languages. So when a teacher is able to speak, or when a teacher is able to explain them in a mother tongue, it will be more feasible, and also education or the literacy rate also increases. So the prime reason to insert this instruction in mother tongue in the Article 26(1) and 350 clearly states that this provision has been given so that the children are the main idea or the main theme is to give them quality education. It is not the quantity education, this quality education. The children should be educated. It is not only that children should be educated in the other languages, but also proper instructions should be given in the mother tongue also. So that is also one of the provision given by the government or given in the constitutional. It has been an amendment. It has been made saying that it has been made a important saying that instruction in mother tongue is also one of the fundamental rights. For example, we see in Article 26(1) says that any section of the citizens residing in the territory, what we have already learned. 350A also states that they have the right to speak their mother tongue. They have the right to listen to their mother tongue. That is, in what language we are able to interact. By the end of the day, they should know what we are speaking in the classroom. Next is promotion of Hindi. Hindi has been made according to Article 351 says that the Indian Constitution make provisions for the development and promotion of Hindi as a national language. So it has become a national language in Article 351. It clearly states that India is a state where Hindi has become a national language for them. So this is one of the provision made by the Constitution. Now next one is the higher education and research. This higher education will speak in the university education. Just read it as a provision given by the government. Now education in the union territories. Now education in the union territories is nothing but Article 239 of the Constitution states that save or otherwise provided by the Parliament of Law that every union territory shall be administered by the President acting to such extent as he thinks fit to an administrator to be appointed by him with such a designation as he may specify. So education also should be given in union territories. And also what all amendments or what all recommendations made by the Constitution shall also be applicable to the union territories. So these all are the 12, what we say is 12 constitutional provisions on education, which the main thing which revolves around is the free and compulsory education. So all the points touches Article 45 and also Article 21A of Indian Constitution. So today we spoke about how the constitutional provisions on secondary education has been given. It clearly states that free and compulsory education, and next one is the education of the minorities, next one is the education of the weaker sections, and next one is the education of women education, and also education of the secular education The next one is the instruction in mother tongue and promotion of Hindi. So these all comes under the constitutional provision on secondary education. So what does constitution say about these all? So when you see about all the articles, when you have a clear picture, what all the points we have discussed now, these all are in the constitution amendments. So there may be fundamental rights, there may be directive principles, but these all come under the education system of secondary education. So this is the provision given by the government regarding the education system in India. So most of the time we cannot blame the government. It is the government have done much in giving free and compulsory education and giving much opportunities for weaker section, much opportunity for women education, and much opportunities even to union territories, where these all feel have given much opportunities, but it may be faults of the local government or local state bodies or the parents. I don't know whoever it may be, but most of them are not aware that these are all laws or fundamental duties or directive principle exist in constitution. So these all 12 points come under. So there will be a question stating that what constitutional provisions on secondary education has been given. So you will write all these 12 points. You can write them on your own, but only thing is you have to be well versed in the articles. So the article 45 is mentioned in your textbook, but not article 21A, which clearly states that it is a fundamental right. Article 21A of Indian Constitution is a fundamental right, which clearly states that the state shall endure to see to it that all the children below the age group of 14, that is 6 to 14 years, should be given free and compulsory education. Not only education, but also the welfare of the children has to be take care by the government, and that is why we have this schools like Anganwadi schools and also primary schools where free education is given to them, including food, including proper nutrition. So when you write this free and compulsory education, try to mention about the article 21A, which is a fundamental right. Article 45 is a directive principle, and also try to mention about the article 51AK, which says that even parents are responsible to take, that is, even parents are responsible to provide opportunity to education to all the children. So these all 12 are the provisions, that is, these 12 are the constitutional provisions on secondary education. And if anyone of you are having any doubts, you can please ask me now. Today in the class, we spoke about the yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, is missionary schools come under secular schools?
No. Missionary schools does not come under secular schools. Secular schools are, actually there are no secular schools in Christians, because I can tell you there are secular schools. For example, nuns are taught in a secular school, ma'am. You would be knowing nuns, right? Those who are not married. Sisters, they call as sisters, and nuns are educated in a secular school. There is a separate subject for them called as catechism.
Okay.
So that's
in these
yes.
missionary schools, they don't go with Bible and all. So if they want to teach Bible, they'll go to like another schools, like they have their own secular schools.
Yeah, they
like
have
Muslims.
like Muslims, they have their own secular schools, where in the normal general schools they are not allowed.
Okay. Like Hindus, we have Veda Patashalas. For Muslims, they have their own schools and
schools, and even Christians will have called as ACTC, that is Andhra Christian Theological College. So that is called as theology. That those all come under secular education, ma'am. They have right to establish secular educations, but they don't have a right to establish the secular education in a normal education school system.
Okay.
You're clear, Ramani?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, thank you.
For Muslims, madrasas are there, ma'am.
Yeah, madrasas are. That is right. Yes, those are secular schools, ma'am. Those does not come under this. For them, there is a separate education which speaks about their own theologies. Yes, is it clear? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Article 28, 3, ma'am. Article
Yes.
28, 3 states. Can you explain that, ma'am? Article 28, third. No person attending any educational institution by the state or receiving aids out of state funds shall be required to take any part in any religious instructions that may be imparted in such institutions, or to attend any religious worship that be conducted in such institutions or any premises attached there unless no person, if such minor, his guardian. This
Yes,
is
ma'am.
what, ma'am?
This is nothing but I already told you there are some minority schools. For example, if they are benefiting from that minority schools. For example, there are some minority schools who have been funding them differently. For example, amma, కొన్ని schools లో minorities కి funding వేరే దగ్గర నుంచి వస్తాయి.
Okay, okay.
సో ఆ ఫండింగ్ ఉన్నప్పుడు మళ్ళీ వాళ్ళు స్టేట్ గవర్నమెంట్ దగ్గర నుంచి హెల్ప్ తీసుకోకూడదు అనమాట.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
Did you get me? For example, when you go to St. Anne's school, there are some students who don't have parents. No parents.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
orphans. Orphans ni a nuns వాళ్ళే చూసుకుంటారమ్మా. So
Okay, okay.
they don't have a right to go again and ask the government to help these orphans.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
Charitable schools.
Yes, ma, yes.
Charitable schools, ma'am.
Yeah, charitable schools. You're right, Ramani. Some charitable schools are there where they cannot get any aiding from the government unless and until that orphan child is studying in the state government. For example, any government school chadute, she is eligible of all those things. But if she is studying in a minority institution, for example, if she is studying in a charitable schools and cannot avail the things from the state government. Is it,
Yes, ma'am.
is it clear?
Yes,
Ma'am?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
It's okay. Anyone has any doubts, you can ask me now. Because I don't want to, from tomorrow in the tomorrow class, we are going to discuss about policies, programs of secondary education. Today it is a dry subject actually, constitutional provision. You have to be well versed in the article. I think so in the paper 1 or paper first semester or second semester, I gave you all the articles regarding the education. All about the 26 or 27 articles I have given you, including the articles which are meant only for education. So students, some few of them have written in your books also. Please make sure that you are well versed in those articles, because these are very important. You should be able to tell them. When you speak about 45 and 21A, you should also know about 51AK also, where even parents' duty is also there in that. Is it? Yes. So why as a teacher you should know all these things, ma'am? Why as a teacher, I'm asking you all a question. Why as a teacher educator you should know that there is some constitution, there is some provision, constitutional provision for the secondary education, and only especially for the secondary education?
Because when we say, then only it will go, na ma'am. We are the transporters. We should explain them that these are things are provided by the government. Then
Okay.
only the children will forward them to their next generation or other friends.
Children will forward to the next view. Okay. Any other views, ma'am? Any others? I want everybody to answer. I should know that everybody are listening to me.
When we are aware of these articles, then we can implement on the children's, and we can teach the other children's who are not capable of going to the schools or ma'am.
Yes, because you will enlighten them. Yeah, you're right, Swati. Any other reason, and especially we are speaking about the secondary education, ma. So let us discuss why it is only, so there are provisions and it has been stressed saying that secondary education. Why only secondary education? He did not say that we are not speaking only about the constitutional provision on education. We are speaking especially on secondary education.
As it is a link for the future education and it is a turning point for the students, it is very much essential that we should be aware about the rules, regulation, or what you say, articles.
For these articles, yes. Any other? I want a clear answer, because we are speaking about 8, 9, and 10 students. Till 5th, everybody will come. There will be full attendance when you go and see in the government schools or any schools. That is, we are speaking especially about the government schools. So why there are dropouts of 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th and 10th? Why there is a dropouts much range? Because almost all, there are about 50% of dropouts when we go and check in 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th standard children.
Support
Ma'am, families don't support the children to go because they are grown up and they will say that the education is enough now and you can go for the work.
Household work. Yes, that is one of the major issue. Household work. Women education law, when we see that when children are grown up and even after their matured state, when they are attain their puberty, what happens is parents does not allow their girl child to go and enter into schools. They feel that, yes, after the puberty, they don't allow the children to go to school. And that comes under secondary education only, those period of time. Because they don't want their child to interact with if it is a co-education school or if they feel that, yes, now this is the age we have to drop. And also, the major issues are, there are no proper sanitization facilities in the schools given, ma'am. When I was reading this article, I've seen that there are no proper sanitizing, there are no proper bathrooms in the school, due to which most of 30% of children are dropouts from the school. When there was a survey in 2018, I already tell you that is Annual State of Education Report, ASER. It clearly stated that more than 30% of students are dropouts only because there are no proper sanitization in the schools. And also no proper boundary walls and also no gate to the schools. So when I heard this,
ma'am, that was the survey, ma'am.
Yeah, Sangamitra?
Is that the latest survey, ma'am?
2018 survey, Sangamitra. ASER.
But SSA's interventions, the health campaigns and all, they stressed on the points of facilitating washrooms and drinking water and all. But it is not implemented in reality.
Yeah, that's what Sangamitra has not been implemented. I told you these constitutional provisions, whatever we are speaking, it has been given in 1950, ma. That is Jan 26th, Constitution was made. It stated that free and compulsory, but till now, most of them doesn't know there is a free education for people. Even in the government school, they are not aware of that. So 2018 survey, you can just check it out. Annual State of Education Report, ASER. Even the age group from 14 to 16, when they have seen why there are much dropouts from the age of 11 to 16, then they could identify that more than 30% of them are not going to schools and colleges because there are no proper sanitization. And also, main thing is mothers doesn't want, or the fathers, parents doesn't want them to go to school after their puberty because no proper education being educated to the parents. So this is what is happening, ma. So as a teacher, it is your prime duty to educate children as well as the parents. So that is why this has been included into your curriculum. The reason is you should know what articles are there, you should know what directive principles are there in the Constitution, and you should know what all the government is facilitating, because I already told you in the beginning of the class, you always cannot blame the government. The government has been given, yes, there are some rules, there are some regulations, there are some amendments, there are some articles, there are some recommendations given in the Constitution, but we are not accessible to it. So as a teacher, it is your duty to educate the children as well as the parents. So that is why this has been included into your curriculum. And also, if you are getting ready for any competitive exams, please make sure that you're perfect in all the articles. I know it is quite difficult, but try to put everything, what all comes under education, what all comes under law, what all comes under like social being, what all comes under everything. You try to be well versed in these articles because these are going to stay with you until you are in the field of education. So
Okay, ma'am.
anyone has any doubts more than that, you can ask me, ma. Please make sure that and women education and tribal education also plays a vital role in the further classes. Also, we have much to be know about that, because SC and ST education system we doesn't know much, and women education also many opportunities are being given by the government which are not into limelight. We doesn't know that some systems are there. We doesn't know that such thing exists in the government. So in the further classes we are going to discuss them. So as of now, if anyone has any doubts, you can ask me, ma. Amma, ee roju manamu రాజ్యాంగం తెలుగు వాళ్ళకి చెప్తున్నాను. ఈ రోజు మనము మీరు ఒక్కసారి టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ చూస్తే ఈ రోజు మనము చూసుకున్నది మీకు ఒక ఐడియా వస్తుంది. కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ అంటే రాజ్యాంగంలో ఎలాంటి మాధ్యమిక విద్య రాజ్యాంగ నిబంధనలు ఏమున్నాయో చూసుకున్నామమ్మా. బలహీన వర్గాలు, షెడ్యూల్ కులాలకు, షెడ్యూల్ జాతుల విద్య, స్త్రీ విద్య గురించి చదువుకున్నాము. లౌకిక విద్య అంటే సెక్యులర్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ చెప్పాను. లౌకిక విద్య అంటే నార్మల్ స్కూల్ సిస్టమ్ లో లౌకిక విద్య ఉండదు. లౌకిక విద్య కొరకు సపరేట్ స్కూల్స్ ఉంటాయి. ముస్లిమ్స్ కి సపరేట్ స్కూల్స్, హిందూస్ కి సపరేట్ స్కూల్స్, క్రిస్టియన్స్ కి సపరేట్ స్కూల్స్. అంటే దాంట్లో కేవలం వాళ్ళ ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ రిలీజన్ గురించి మాట్లాడతారనమాట. ఆ వాటిని సెక్యులర్ స్కూల్స్. వాళ్ళు ఇందులో కలపడానికి లేదు, వీళ్ళని అందులో కలపడానికి లేదు. ఇంకోటి నిబంధన విద్యా సంస్థలు స్థాపించి నిర్వహించటకు మైనారిటీ వర్గాలు వారి హక్కుల గురించి, మైనారిటీ స్కూల్స్ గురించి మనము ఇందులో ఉన్నాయి. ఇవన్నీ ఆర్టికల్స్ అమ్మ. మీరు ఆర్టికల్స్ చూస్తే మీకు ఒక ఐడియా ఉంటుంది. ఉచిత నిర్బంధ ప్రాథమిక విద్య, ఫ్రీ అండ్ కంపల్సరీ ప్రైమరీ ఎడ్యుకేషన్. తర్వాత ప్రాథమిక దశలో మాతృభాష మాధ్యమంలోనే విద్య అంటే చిన్నప్పుడు పిల్లల్ని స్కూల్స్ లో అడ్మిట్ చేసినప్పుడు చాలా మంది పిల్లలకి లాంగ్వేజ్ ప్రాబ్లం ఉంటుంది. గవర్నమెంట్ ఇవన్నీ ఫెసిలిటీస్ ని కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ లో పెట్టడానికి ప్రథమ ముఖ్యమైన కారణం ఏంటంటే అమ్మా, పిల్లలు చదువుకోవాలి. అది ఏ భాషలో అయినా పర్వాలేదు. దేర్ మెయిన్ డ్యూటీ ఈజ్ టు ఎడ్యుకేట్ దెమ్. అందుకే ఒకవేళ ఈ భాష మూలానే పిల్లలు నేర్చుకోలేకపోతున్నారేమో అని విద్య అంటే ఏం చేశారంటే ప్రాథమిక దశలో అంటే బిగినింగ్ లోనే మదర్ టంగ్ ని ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేశారు. ఇప్పుడు నేను మీకు ఎలాగ 2 భాషలు చెప్తున్నానో అలాగా మదర్ టంగ్ లాంగ్వేజ్ కి ఎక్కువగా ఇన్ఫ్లుయెన్స్ ఇచ్చి పిల్లల్ని ఒకలాంటి అట్మాస్ఫియర్ లో, భయాందోళకమైన అట్మాస్ఫియర్ కాకుండా, లేదు టీచర్ చెప్పేది నాకు అర్థమవుతుంది. బికాస్ చాలా స్కూల్స్ లో కూడా చాలా మంది పిల్లలకి టీచర్ ఏం ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తుందో తెలియదు. అలాంటి టైంలో మదర్ టంగ్ ని ఇన్ఫ్లుయెన్స్ చేస్తే పిల్లలు కంఫర్టబుల్ గా ఫీల్ అవుతారు, మనం చెప్పేది కూడా వాళ్ళకి అర్థమవుతుంది. సో అది మీరు సొంతగా చెప్పింది కాదు, ఆల్రెడీ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ లోనే అది ఒక రాజ్యాంగ ఒక నిబంధనగా ఏర్పాటు చేశారు. ఏంటది? ప్రాథమిక దశలో మాతృభాష మధ్యంలోనే విద్య. అది నిబంధన 350 ప్రకారంగా ఇది ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ అయింది. ఇంకోటి ఏంటమ్మా, హిందీ భాషను ఈ రాష్ట్రీయ భాషగా, ఈ భారత భాషగా హిందీ భాషను అభివృద్ధి చేయడమే కాకుండా దాన్ని భారతీయ భాషగా ఎన్నుకున్నారు. సో వీటన్నిటి గురించి మనం ఈ రోజు క్లాస్ లో మాట్లాడుకున్నామమ్మా. మాధ్యమిక విద్య రాజ్యాంగ నిబంధనలు, ఎలాంటి నిబంధనలు ఇచ్చింది, ఎలాంటి ఆర్టికల్స్ ఉన్నాయి మనం చదవడానికి, విద్యకి ఎంత ప్రాధాన్యత మరి కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ అనేది ఇచ్చింది అనేది మనం ఈ దినం క్లాస్ లో నేర్చుకున్నాం. మరి రేపటి దినాన మాధ్యమిక విద్య విధానాలు మరియు కార్యక్రమాలు, దట్ ఇస్ పాలసీస్ అండ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ అనేవి రేపు మనం క్లాస్ లో చదువుకుందాము. ఎవరికైనా if any one of you are having any doubts, please let me know. If you feel I'm moving fast, please let me know. I'm clear and open to hear whatever you want to say. Please, if you have any doubts regarding the constitutional, you just go through all the articles. Please make sure that you are well versed in the articles, because I already told you these are very important articles. One day 1 minute or 30 minutes class doesn't work out. You have to again go through all the articles, what these articles says అనేది మీరు ఒక్కసారి చూసుకుంటే it will be easy for you. I told you, as a teacher you should be well versed in the articles unless and until you are there in the field of education. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes ma'am, understood ma'am.
So tomorrow we are going to see about the policies and programs of secondary education, policies and programs of secondary education ఏమేమి ఉన్నాయి అనేది రేపు మనము క్లాస్ రూమ్ లో డిస్కస్ చేసుకుందాము. Yes, anyone have any doubts? You can ask me, ma. Yeah, so everybody just please make sure that you go through all the articles. Make sure you write down. It's better you make a note. I hope you'll make a note today. Take some 10 minutes. Sit down. Constitutional provision, Article 45, so and so. Article 21A, so and so. Just make a note. If it will be easy for you. I hope you'll do that homework today.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. All the articles, ma'am. You read all the articles from it.
Okay, ma'am.
You just go through, just write down the article so and so and just write down. This is free and compulsory education. Article 28 so and so. Article 28(1) so and so. You just make a small note. It doesn't take more than 10 or 15 minutes for you. It will be easy for you, ma'am. Please.
Okay, ma'am.
Is it clear? Okay, ma'am. So thank you everyone. So tomorrow in the classroom we are going to meet again. We are going to speak about the policies and programs of the secondary education. Is it clear to everyone, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All the plate sounds. నేను భోజనానికి